Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Goblins live show. Hope you're all doing well. And we've got a very good show lined up for you today, where it's all going to be focused around beginner riders and where you can start learning, how you can start learning, basically where to start, because it can be a bit of a minefield with regard to the whole motorcycle thing. And those of us that have navigated it firsthand, it can be a bit of a trek, so to speak. So and we've also got a little thing from the wifey as well, haven't we? About what was it? What did you say it was? Like no. The articles
right.
that you found there about
some top 10 tips.
Top 10 riding tips that the wifey has found, and she's going to run through them and see if they do make sense and if they are actually legit, or if they're just a bit meh. Anyway, are you ready, wifey?
Yeah.
All right, let's go ahead and roll that intro. How's it going, wifey?
Yeah.
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 Wifey's been ill this week. She's had like a cold, haven't you?
Yeah. It's not much fun.
I haven't caught it yet, but I suppose that remains to be seen.
Yeah.
We'll see in a few days if I've got it or not.
Better than I was beginning of the week, but I'm still not quite there.
Yeah, definitely. So, have we been up to anything at all this week?
Watch Star Trek, and that's it.
Oh yeah, we watched the Star Trek trilogy. Yeah, we did get our download tickets as well for this year, so that'll be good. But I'm having some trouble getting the time off, so I'm a little bit miserable today. Because there's no reason why they shouldn't give me the time off. So yeah.
That's a story for another day, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, we are going regardless. I don't care. So we'll that's not going to change anything. But so what else? Feels like we've been quite busy this week. I don't know about you.
Sorry.
You dropped a tissue.
Tissue.
Feels like I don't know why. I just feel like I haven't been able to catch my breath this week.
I did stop and go, oh my god, it's Thursday.
Yeah.
But I don't know what I've done this week.
No, me neither. It just feels like a week where you're just going nowhere fast. I think is that the saying?
Mine's just gone by in a snotty blur, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it's just been a lot of stuff going on this week, but it doesn't feel like as if it's been that productive, unfortunately. Yeah, there we go. What else have we done then? Anything else? Come on, we've got to have some interesting things for a change. Some interesting things. We're not boring all the time.
We're busy, not boring.
Yeah.
I don't know.
There's a big difference.
I don't think we've done anything that's groundbreaking this week.
No, not really.
We'll try and do better.
It's like we're social media personalities. We have to have things to be excited about all the time. You mean you can't be on YouTube and be a normal person?
No, how dare I? Gosh. Yeah.
No, to be honest, just same old. Just working day in, day out, and surviving. I think is the way to describe it.
To be fair, I haven't personally done anything this week apart from watch movies.
I've been looking after you, haven't I?
Yeah, you've been very good.
That's where all my time's gone. Looking after the wifey.
You make it sound like I'm really high maintenance.
Only when you're ill. No, I'm joking. The wifey's good.
To be fair, you've cooked a lot for me, which I've really appreciated.
Nah. No big deal.
Put my tissues there, because I will need those.
Goblins got to eat.
Yeah.
Fresh meat. Looks like meat's back on the menu, boys.
I was just throwing into a meeting earlier. There's like a pile of tissues, and I was like, I should probably move those out of view. I don't think people need to see my tissues on the side.
Yeah.
But no, apart from being unwell and you looking after me and us watching Star Trek, that's been it.
No, I mean, I haven't even been able to get into any video games or anything recently either. I just haven't felt the motivation. I've got loads of games that I need to play. I need to play Hunt Showdown. I need to play Ready or Not. I'd love to play Escape from Tarkov as well. I still haven't played Modern Warfare 2.
You still haven't played that?
No. No, we've had it since Christmas, and I haven't even installed it. So yeah, I've got a lot of games to get through. Yeah, but no, I just haven't felt motivated really to get my get lost in a video game. But there you go. I say hello to you lot. Hey Steve, how you doing, mate? Good to see you. 125 guy, good to see you. Hey Fidelity, how you doing, mate? Hope you're all doing well. Oh, 125 guy just finished the story on Hogwarts Legacy.
No.
Oh yeah, the wifey. You're on your second playthrough now?
No, I'm still on the first.
Oh, you're still on the
I'm
first.
doing all the side stuff as well. So how long did it take you to finish the main story mode? Because I'm pushing 75 hours now.
And one of our mates did in 40 hours.
He did it in 40 hours, but he didn't do anything else. He literally just did the main story line and getting the field guide pages, which means nothing to you.
Not it.
And
not
now
really into Harry
he's
Potter.
on his second time round doing everything the way I did it first time.
Gotcha.
I will go around and do it again. It's just I want to at least finish all the side quests first.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Sounds like it would have been nice if there was a bit more to the main quest, though. Well, either that or have some significant sideline quests, like really big sideline quests.
To be fair, some of the sidelines quests do feed into the main storyline, but to be honest with you, because we've obviously not spoken about this for a couple of days, there's been a couple of other quests that have come up which have been quite interesting to do following finishing the main storyline. So
yeah.
But me and our friend have done things very differently. So he's done one thing, I've done something different, and I kind of asked him, like, what's it like if you done it that way?
I was going to say, are there different endings? Are there unique endings
there's certain choices you can make where the outcome for characters will be different. So things like if you choose to learn the unforgivable curses, you can, but you can also not. And apparently if you don't choose to learn them, then you don't at all. Like it's one chance or two chances and that's it. Yeah. Whereas I was out there killing trolls and all sorts of unforgivable curses. I was loving it. So I could talk about this forever. So we'll carry on.
Steve, meanwhile, I can't sleep when there's one fly in my room. Does that happen to anyone else? Yeah.
Yeah, it always goes just above your ear.
I can confirm. Oh, Fidelity. Oh, you haven't had the heating on. Oh, no.
No heating or hot water. That sounds like an absolute nightmare.
And the thing is, it's been cold this week as well.
It's been so cold this week.
It's been the coldest week, I think, for a while.
Yeah.
A couple of weeks ago, it was feeling like spring, and now all of a sudden it's gone back into winter again.
Walked the dog without a coat. I was like, what is this?
Madness.
We were there going, oh, this is unusual, and then it went back to the normal. So.
Yeah. Mark Jordan, good to see you, mate. How you doing? 125 go around 26 hours for the minimum requirement for the main story.
So I did like the main story, and then as many of the side quests at that time I could do, and hence why I'm pushing quite a lot of hours now.
It's mad that game's only been out for what, a month, if that, 3 weeks. Yeah, and almost everyone that's played it's completed it.
But then you've got people who don't get on the Switch till like April. Someone I work with.
Oh, that's true.
And I said to her, I was like, I'm not gonna like tell you what happens, but my god, it's so annoying you haven't played it. So I can't talk to you about it.
Definitely.
But yeah, anyway.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, Steve. Yeah. I think there'll be snow just around the corner, at least in some parts of the UK, anyway. For sure. Yeah, I have no doubt.
It's just a hindrance.
All right, so today's show is going to be very, very off the cuff, in the sense that, you know, we're going to be mainly focusing around people who are trying to get into riding motorcycles and kind of where they need to start, what we recommend they start, or how we recommend they start, and things like that. So yeah, if there's anyone in the audience that has got a burning question around learning how to get involved and things like that, then yeah, definitely drop it in the chat. or drop it in the comments after this video has gone live, and yeah, we'll try our best to answer. But I mean, wifey, where would you start? What's the very first thing that you would do? You're like, I really, really want to get involved in motorcycles. Where do I start?
Do I know anyone that's riding already, or is this just like an average Joe?
That's a good question.
Because my scenario is very different to how your scenario is. Like, you had to go get a CBT straight away. I was able to bring a bike home and
yeah, that's true.
Do practice.
Yeah, because I didn't have anything or anyone to help me.
No.
And I just had to kind of wing it. I think
I'm in such a unique and fortunate position.
I think I started just by doing my CBT. I think before doing anything else, I think I just did a CBT.
Yeah.
And
which is what 99% of people probably
yeah. Thing is though,
like.
Again, like CBTs, they don't teach you all that much.
It's compulsive basic.
It's very training. Basic, very very basic.
Yeah.
And it's things like especially if you're doing a CBT on a motorcycle as well, just straight away, just getting on a motorcycle, it can be really daunting because you don't know how these things work. No one else has shown you before, if you're lucky enough that someone's been around to help you with something, or at least give you a bit of a heads up or something like that. I mean, would you, if just hypothetically speaking, if I didn't ride and I had no idea how motorcycles worked, would you have found that information by Googling or looking on YouTube?
I probably would have Googled it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think there's any valuable information out there?
Yes, our channel.
Yeah. That's a good plug.
Subscribe now.
But yeah, no, she is right.
Click this bell.
I've actually created a whole new playlist of all the videos we've done about learning to ride and motorcycle tips for new riders, things like that. So yeah, again, definitely go and check out that playlist. I don't know if I can tag it in the live show right now, unfortunately. I don't think I can. But after the fact, I can add a tag in the top corner. So we can direct you guys to that playlist if you want to go and check that out. But yeah, I definitely recommend it. But I think you're right. I think there is loads of really, really good information out there on learning to ride a motorcycle. So if you haven't got anyone that is kind of like in your immediate vicinity, anyone that you don't know, or anyone that you know that doesn't know how to ride motorcycles or how to get involved, then yeah, there's loads and loads of information out there. I mean, it can be a bit of a minefield as well, in the sense that in the UK it's different to how it is in Europe. In Europe it's different to how it is in the United States. And basically every country you go, starting is going to be different in every single country. It only becomes standardized when you get your full license, which is kind of stupid. I mean, well, the EU are trying to change that though at the moment. They're proposing cross-border CBT licenses, but in Europe they don't call them CBTs. They call them their individual things. I think in Germany it's called like a B196 or something like that.
Sounds like an aeroplane.
Yeah, it's a specific license that they give in Germany, and I imagine in France it will be something different. But they are trying to standardize it as well for Europe. We don't know yet if Britain's going to be following suit or not. So, but unfortunately, right now, getting involved, imagine if you Google about, how to get your motorcycle license. The very first thing you're going to be directed to is the UK government website, and how useless. It's
so complicated when you read it.
It's so bad. It really doesn't help people whatsoever. You know what? They really should just hire someone, a presenter or something like that, to read or to explain the way how the process, and then have that kind of embedded in the government website, rather than having just a load of text. Just have a presenter there that can explain what this means.
I've also seen a flow diagram, and it's so complicated. It's like, does this apply?
Yeah.
Yes. Does this apply? No. You need to do this, and it's just like, oh my god, it's so complicated.
So anyway, it can be difficult getting the right information and things like that from the get-go. But yeah, anyway, the very first thing, if you are totally like, I don't know, you've got no experience whatsoever, and you just want to get involved, try and look at booking a CBT in your local area. Usually in the UK, there's a CBT place in every town, at least one in every town.
I have a statement to make.
Go on, Wifey.
And this is only for March, but all instructors, CBT, full license, and driving instructors from the 1st to the 28th of March are on strike.
Really?
Yes.
You kidding?
Nope.
But they're all private. Are you sure you're not talking about the examiners?
No, I read it. It said about them all being on strike.
No, that can't be right.
Well,
because they won't get paid.
I'm just saying what I read.
Well, find where you read it, because if it's the DVLA testing centres, that makes sense. But no, you wouldn't have private people going on strike because they're not. I don't think they're subsidised by the government, but I don't know. But anyway, yeah. So you got something else to worry about.
Well, sorry, yeah. So it says the tests, yes.
Test centres.
But it also says moped and motorcycle compulsory basic training checks, but not the course themselves.
See, this is on the government website, right?
Oh, yeah, of course.
Again, really unclear, honestly.
So it says... But yeah, anyway, there's strikes going on as well.
Okay. All right, and you say that's in March. Okay.
All 3 March.
That's going to suck because, again, the amount of wait time still for exams, for tests, is
ridiculous.
It's stupid.
DVSA is sorry for the inconvenience and thanks you for your patience.
Yeah, right. Say that to people that have been waiting a year to do their driving test.
Yeah.
Honestly. Stupid. Anyway, so yeah, that's the very first port of call, is to have a look, see if you can book in a CBT in your local area or where's closest to you. Now, that's what you need to do officially to get started, but there's going to be a lot of things that you're going to want to know going into it. And I mean, it really does depend. I would actually recommend, hand on my heart, recommend that if you're going to do a CBT and you've never had any experience on a motorcycle whatsoever and you have no idea how they work, do your CBT on a scooter, because they're so easy. All you have to do, you've got 2 brakes and a throttle, and that's it. And you've got your indicators, of course. Basically, that's all that a scooter is. And the thing is, once you've done your CBT on a scooter, which is very easy, then you can go away in your own time, buy a motorcycle if you're old enough, if you're 17, and you can buy a 125cc motorcycle. Then you can learn in your own time how the motorcycle is supposed to work, and you'll be legally allowed to ride it on the streets. And I'm not being funny, but you can't learn anything or next to nothing about a motorcycle in a parking area or whatever the hell they put you doing your CBT. So the best way to learn is riding out and about. I mean, on your CBT, they will take you out for like a road ride, wouldn't they? On your scooter or what have you. But it just takes the pressure off a little bit, because scooters are so much easier to ride in that sort of sense. Because you still learn, the way how the brakes work, and you still learn leaning with the bike and things like that. But yeah, just do your CBT on a scooter. That's what I'd recommend. Unless, of course, you have had experience on a motorcycle, then by all means, it's up to you if you want to do it that way. But yeah, I mean, that's what I'd recommend for you to do. I mean, that's basically what happened to you, isn't it? You started your CBT on a motorcycle originally, and you were struggling with it, weren't you? Even though we had some practice beforehand, didn't we?
It was because like the brake was like that, and I was having trouble with it.
Yeah.
So they said, "Oh, we can."
It was a rubbish bike anyway.
Yeah, it was from like the 1800s.
For the first time.
They then said, "Oh, we'll put you on a scooter," and it was fine from then.
Yeah.
And then the second one I did on a Honda 125, didn't I?
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah, because that's the thing. You will need the time, and you'll get some instructors that are really picky, and they're really like, "Oh, you're not safe to ride," and stuff like that. Because you don't know how a motorcycle works. For goodness sake, I mean, give these people a chance.
Oh yeah.
The thing is, as well, a lot of these instructors, they don't know how to teach people properly how to ride motorcycles to begin with. They have no prior experience in teaching things to anyone else, or teaching anything else to anyone else, and they think that they're okay to teach people learning how to ride a motorcycle. No, just do it on a scooter. Scooters are really easy, and you'll have no problems on a scooter. and then in your own time, go ahead, buy yourself a motorcycle, a 125cc motorcycle for, I don't know, what are they going for these days? They're going for more than £1,000 now for just, I don't know, just an old thing, an old run around, aren't they? But yeah, just get yourself something like that and then practice in your own time. And the thing is for me, the best practice I ever got was doing it myself. Learning how to navigate the roads myself. I know it sounds a bit like getting thrown in the deep end, but it really, really helps. I mean, I'm trying to think how I actually got my first motorcycle. I think I got it delivered.
Maybe.
I didn't go to a dealership and ride it home because I didn't know. No idea how to ride. So I think I got it delivered, and then I think from there I learnt the basics just on my street, just going up and down the road, and then just taking it off into the wilderness, and then just learning as I went. But I do warn you, it is a bit of a baptism of fire, without a doubt. So just take it easy. Try and practice in areas that are nice and quiet and things. But let's talk a few specifics now, though, because of course, when you've got the motorcycle in your hand and you're thinking, well, what the hell do I do with this? Because I mean, I don't know. I'm trying to think of just someone who's got no idea whatsoever. No idea. I mean, obviously use the references that you can find online as well about where the ignition is, where the brakes are, where everything is.
Where the
So at least
kickstand
you've got a basic idea of where things are. I mean, I'm pretty sure that every single motorcycle, at least 99.9% of motorcycles ever made, all have the throttle on the right hand, twisting on the right hand. So you've got that.
Even abroad?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there are some very, very unique motorcycles where they might have the throttle on a pedal.
Right.
Something like that. Or the clutches on the right-hand side. I think Lone Wolf UK sent me a message on Instagram the other day about a motorcycle that was like that. It was, so you'd have the clutch usually on your left hand and the gears on your left foot. Well, this bike was clutch on your right and gears on your right.
God, imagine not knowing
It was all opposite. Yeah, totally
and
opposite.
getting on it and being like, what's going on?
Yeah. Well, actually, that's hilarious. My dad, when he was working in the police, he had this mate, and they were, I can't remember exactly what the story was, but it involved a mobility scooter.
That doesn't sound good.
And mobility scooters, you'd think that they work almost the same as a motorcycle, something. And so one of the officers was going to confiscate this mobility scooter, and the first thing that you do instinctively is you grab onto the brake to make sure it doesn't go anywhere. It wasn't the brake; it was the throttle. And this thing went flying out of his hands. He was trying to hold on to it, but of course he was still pulling in the brake, which wasn't the brake, and he sort of wrestled around with his mobility scooter. Apparently, it was. I could just imagine it in my head, just someone doing that. But yeah, so I suppose the moral of the story there is don't assume that that's where everything is supposed to be. But 99% of motorcycles are oriented the same way. So you've got the throttle on your left. Excuse me, throttle on your right, clutch on your left.
Now you're getting confused.
Front brake on your right. Okay, now we've got this all in videos. All right, so go and check out in the playlist. Yeah, definitely afterwards. So it could be a better reference. But yeah, and then you've got the brake on your right, the rear brake on your right, and then you've got the gears on your left foot. So, wifey, you get on a motorcycle. What's the very first thing you want to do?
Turn it on.
Turn it on. How?
With the key.
Yeah. So turn it. Then what? Go on. You know how to ride a motorcycle.
No, you put me on the spot now. I've forgotten.
Shut up.
The
No,
phrase,
you haven't.
it's like learn to ride a bike.
No, you haven't. I mean, I know it's been a while since you last rode your bike, but come on.
Well, you want to take it off the stand, don't you, as well?
Yeah, I suppose so.
I don't know what you want from me right now.
No, just think about it in your own head. Like, how would you start the bike up? What would you do? What's the process that you would go through? So you walk up to the bike, you put the key in the ignition.
Sit on it.
You turn the key. Okay, you sit on it. You don't have to sit on it, but okay, sit
I
on it.
prefer to sit on it.
Yeah, and then what? Because you've turned the key, the bike isn't on yet.
No, well, you turn it on then.
Yeah, but how? What'd you do?
Oh. I don't like this. I don't feel well enough to do this. You answer the question. I put it back to you. What do you do?
So when you're starting the bike, there's usually a button on
you flick that on first.
on the right side. No. There's a button on the right-hand side of the throttle. Then when the key is turned in the ignition, you push that button in, and it starts the bike.
I knew that.
I know you knew that. Anyway, so you've got the bike on. What else? What would you do then? What's the very first thing that you would do as soon as you got the bike on? What's the very first thing that you would try to do on it? What do you think? Just try and think if you are in that position where you have no idea how to ride a motorcycle. You know where all the bits are. You've managed to turn it on, but then where do you go from there?
You want to stand it up, don't you? Take off the kickstand.
Okay, yeah, we've already done that because we're sitting on the bike.
Okay, fine.
So we're sitting on the bike. Sitting on the bike. We've kicked up the kickstand.
Put it in gear.
Yeah, specifically how? Or would you? Is that the first thing that you would do?
Well, I'd probably put the brake on first.
Well, yeah, but
and
no.
then.
But.
I don't know if it's me being like thick or you not asking the question very well because I'm not understanding what's going on.
It could be a bit of both. So, just try and keep in the back of your mind you've never ridden a motorcycle before.
Clearly, it's obvious at this point.
You've never ridden a motorcycle before. You've got on it. You've started it up. You've taken the bike off the kickstand. You've put up the kickstand. Yeah, so you've done all the basics. You've done all that first.
Well, I want to try and move it, don't I?
Yeah. But would you move it off the gears, or would you try moving it yourself first?
Well,
And it's interesting because this isn't something that I did on my CVT, and it might not be something you did. But in the United States, what they do is they first will get you to walk with the bike in between your legs.
Oh no, I never do that.
To walk forward and backwards. It's not something that we ever did, but just to get a feel of the weight of the bike in between your legs, because that's one of the things that you will find. The hardest things to learn isn't actually to get the bike moving, it's actually getting the bike to stop again. Because then all of a sudden you are having to actively balance the bike when it comes to, when it gets a bit slow.
Potentially I might just pull the throttle back and try and make it move that way if I didn't know what I was doing.
Well, okay. All right. So optional, I suppose, if you want to, is to move the bike forward and backwards with your feet just to try and get a better understanding, a better feel of how the bike is in between your legs, the weight of it and what have you. Because again, I don't know about you, but for me, I don't know why, but this is one of the most shocking things for me was how heavy motorcycles are.
Yeah, I was surprised.
You know, especially if you've learned how to ride a bicycle beforehand and then all of a sudden, you know, you've got this machine in front of you. They are very, very heavy. And it's weird to say that because now if I get on the Wifey's 125, I'm like, wow, this thing is like a bicycle. When it isn't. It wouldn't surprise me if your bike is over 100 kilograms. Maybe under 100 kilograms, I don't know. But they are not lightweight things at all. All right, so let's say you've gotten used to how the bike feels.
Right.
All right. But by the way, guys, if we're going through this and we miss anything, definitely drop it in the chat, okay? So you've gone through all that. All right, so you know where the clutch is, so what do you do with the clutch and the gears?
Pull the clutch in and then push the lever down.
Which lever?
The one on the left foot.
Yeah, on your left foot. Okay, so you pull it. So you pull in the clutch on your left hand.
On some bikes, it will say you're now in first gear. Mine will just have the end light go off.
Well, yeah.
Depending on what bike you've got.
Again, this will be part of actually learning the feel of a motorcycle. And again, for the most part, motorcycles are fairly standard in this, where they'll have a little neutral light on. As soon as you put it into gear, that light will go off. So the very first thing that once you've got it into gear, so you've pulled in the clutch, you've pushed your left foot down, you know that it's in first because you can't push it down any further. Right, that's the biggest tip that I've got, especially if you're on a motorcycle that doesn't have a gear indicator or anything like that.
Or if you're going up, again, you won't be able to.
Well, we'll get to that in a bit.
Right.
Going up the gears, but yeah. So you've got that, and you've got it down in first. Can't push it down any further, so you know it's in first. All right, then what? That's a countdown, isn't it?
Yeah. Didn't realize I was being timed.
Right. So the thing is that some people might think is you just let go of the clutch, and
You
then
don't do that, you'll stall.
well, you don't do that, because an engine is constantly moving, it's constantly rotating. So the whole point of the clutch is to gradually apply that rotational force to the gearbox and then the rear wheel. So that's what you have to try and do, is try and gently release that clutch until you start feeling the bike move forward. Again, this is something that we've done a couple of videos on already, is about clutch control and what have you. So you've done that. You've learned how to move the bike forward and backwards. Okay, just with the clutch. Then what? So you learned the little clutch control, then what?
Pull the throttle back and off you go.
The wifey's very cavalier to this. Very cavalier. Just go for it. Just send it. All right. So yeah. So you pull on the throttle, because you get to a point where you'll be able to engage the clutch fully without any throttle whatsoever. For me, that's the best way to learn how to do the clutch control, just because it gives you very fine control over the clutch, and you have to be very, very gentle with it as well. You can't be. I mean, you can get rough with it a little bit later on when you're a bit more confident with operating the clutch, but same with the throttle as well. You want to be really, really gentle on the throttle. Do you want to put a speed limit on it? So you're moving?
Whereabouts are we when we're doing this hypothetical?
Just in an enclosed area, let's say.
You probably want to go up to, like, I don't know, 20 miles an hour? 30?
30, really? In a parking area?
Well, if it's empty, why not?
Blimey, babe.
20, sorry. 10, 3.
Yeah, I'd say
No.
probably about 10 to 15 mile an hour max when you're learning. Max.
This thing, I didn't know where we were. I didn't know if we were like, know.
That's what I'm saying. That you pretend that you're in an area that you
Okay,
have no idea how
10
motorcycle
miles per
works.
hour, no quicker.
10, 15 mile an hour is what I'd say. All right. Anything else then? And you're going to want to learn how to
Brake.
Well, brake is very important,
Change
of course. Changing gears. What else?
Corner.
Cornering it. To be fair.
You're looking at me like there's an expected answer.
No,
and I'm
no.
just not getting it.
No, there isn't. Because
Okay.
at this point, once you've got the bike in gear, into first gear, you're able to move the bike off. You're able to start moving the bike around on its own power and things like that. You know, you don't have to learn necessarily about going around corners first off. Just learn how to get the bike going forward and getting the bike to stop just in a straight line. And then after that, once you got confident in moving off and slowing down again, and do it a load of times where you just move off, stop, come to a complete stop, move off again, and keep on doing that until you've gotten confident with that. Because at that point, everything else should come more naturally. Changing gears, kick it all the way up. I mean, the wifey made a reference to it earlier, where you kick up the gears all the way up, and then once you get to sixth gear, which, by the way, is probably one of the scariest things to do for a lot of people. This is even an issue with you as well, wasn't it? Moving past third gear.
Past fourth. I could get to fourth, but I didn't go any higher than that.
Yeah. It's a bit of an odd sensation. Like, there's no reason for you not to be in the higher gears, but it's same thing with me as well. Same thing happened with me. I don't know what it was.
You used to say to me, what gear are you on? So I don't know. And you were like, can you kick it any higher? I'm like, no, like you're in sixth then.
Yeah.
That's the thing though. That's the thing I had to remember. I have to remember to count my gears.
Yeah.
Because I haven't got an indicator. It's the most annoying thing on my bike.
But no, you don't have to count gears. Trust me, you don't have to count gears. You don't have to know what gear you're in. You just have to know whether or not you're stalling or you're over revving.
Yeah.
As long as you're in between that, then you're okay.
But it's nice to know.
Well, yeah. But it is what it is. Unfortunately, a lot of bikes don't have gear indicators. But anyway, that we've done a whole video about that as well, so definitely go and check that one out as well. But so you've learned how to move the bike around. You're a bit confident on the bike. What have you then? What'd you do? So far, what we've done is we've done our CBT. We have then bought a motorcycle.
Right.
We have obviously got it insured and taxed and all that stuff. We are learning to ride it.
Yeah.
We are feeling a bit confident in riding it. Now what?
Take it out on the road.
That's a perfect next step. Taking it on the road. Getting some road awareness. All right, and this is probably, again, one of the scariest things you will ever do. It's the very first time when you actually take a motorcycle out on the road. because you're not just then thinking about how to ride the motorcycle, you're also thinking about the traffic that's around you and being able to concentrate on everything. I mean, eventually what will end up happening is you'll be so comfortable with the motorcycle, you won't even think about how you're riding. You'll be more concerned with what's going on around you, which is exactly what you should be worrying about more. So when you do go out onto a road ride for the very first time on your motorcycle, try not to worry, try not to think about what you're doing on the motorcycle as much as what's going on around you. All right, because the main thing that you need to be thinking about is your own safety. Yeah, so again, feel free to go under speed limits a little bit. Don't bomb it everywhere. You don't have to. Don't worry. Okay, if there's drivers behind you giving you a hard time, just pull over, let them get past you, and carry on going that way. Even when you get up to things like roundabouts as well, they can be a real nightmare, because for a new person, you've learned how to get off slowly, but now all of a sudden you get to a roundabout and then you're like, right, I've got to try and learn how to get off quickly now, because otherwise you're going to miss the gap. So I don't know about you, but roundabouts were like a difficult thing for me. Just being able to move off at a pace that would be acceptable. So you'd be able to join the traffic safely. You're not annoying anyone that's on the roundabout, and you're not annoying anyone behind you. Finding that balance. There are people that have been driving for years and they still don't know how to do that properly. But anyway, that's another thing entirely. What were you going to say, wifey?
When I was on my first solo ride, instead of having to take any other exit, I just took the first exit on the roundabout.
To be fair,
because I was like, I don't want to have to worry about going round the roundabout. I just want to get on it and off as quickly as possible, and that's what I did. But I also stuck to roads that I was really familiar with.
Well, that's important.
I didn't have to worry about where I was going because I knew.
Yeah, if you're going to practice anywhere, practice somewhere that's local to you, that you know where you are. And yeah, like you were saying, if you feel more comfortable on your very first road ride, just doing the first exits on everything, on every roundabout you come across, that's absolutely fine as well. Just don't go down a motorway.
Oh yeah.
Because you'll find that on a lot of roundabouts, on main roads and things. Hopefully you're not on main roads just yet, but you might find yourself on a motorway. So yeah, just keep that in mind. But as long as you know where you are on the road, where you're supposed to be on the road, in the direction you're going, and how to get back, then you should be all right. But this is all part of the process of learning. Like I was saying, it is a lot involved, and it's not like it's not like doing driving lessons in a car, because when you're doing driving lessons, you have someone next to you.
Yeah.
That you can rely on if you make a mistake. When you're learning to ride a motorcycle, you have no one to rely on. You are the only one in the cockpit. So it can be really, really daunting, but it's okay. Just take it nice and easy, take it nice and slow, and you'll be okay. So once you've gotten used to that, you are comfortable doing the road riding, you're comfortable doing almost anything. Then what?
Take your test.
Straight away, take your test.
Is that
Sign
not
me
the
up.
answer? Is that not the answer? Sorry.
Well, you have to go through your training, don't you, and all that.
And your theory.
Yeah, so you have to do your theory test. By the way, I mean, I would, after passing your CBT, after having a motorcycle, after riding around for, I would say, about a year, then is when I'd probably look at doing a full license. However, you can't until you're 19, can you?
No.
No? Because believe it or not, I took my full license when I was 17. No, 17. I did my full motorcycle license, and I was 18 when I did my driving license. Yeah.
Yeah, it changed.
I was 17. Mad. But so you'll have to be riding your 125 now for a couple of years at least before you'll be able to go ahead and do your full. I think you can do your theory test before then though. So as long as you've got your test booked when you're 19, even if it's your birthday, for God's sake, as long as you've got your test book when you're 19, they'll have no problems doing it.
And a valid CVT.
Yeah, so that's the biggest issue, isn't it? Is if you
you're
do it at 16, yeah, it's stupid.
Which
It's
is
a stupid
possibly why
situation.
riders are waiting till later to do everything, because they don't have to wait and then redo. Anyway.
It's annoying. Yeah. So be prepared for that. You may have to retake your CBT before you can actually go ahead and do your full license. However, if you go ahead, you can go ahead and do your theory test when you're 17. That lasted 2 years as well, doesn't it?
Yeah.
your theory test. So you can go ahead and do that when you're 18 rather. So the year before you intend to do your test. And I'm pretty sure as well you can do your training as well before you turn 19.
I haven't a clue.
So yeah, you can do all that, and then as long as your test date is booked after your birthday, then your 19th birthday, you should be okay to move on to A2. What is A2, wifey? Because that's something that gets thrown around a lot here in the UK. A2, what's an A2? You know, what's an A2?
That's the first bit, isn't it, that you do?
No, that's A1. So CBT motorcycle is A1 license. What's A2?
Oh, big bikes.
Slightly bigger bikes.
Oh, is that now where you can do instead of it having to be a...
So A2...
You know what I'm going to tell you.
A2 are motorcycles that you can ride up to a certain amount. So I think it's 44 horsepower, so it's usually around 400cc. There are some bikes that you can get that are up to 500cc that are restricted. And technically you can buy any motorcycle as long as it's restricted to less than 45 horsepower or 44 horsepower. It might be 46, I can't remember, but something like that. Cost money to get it restricted at a garage, but it's something that I think most motorcycle garages can do if that's the route you wanted to take. But I'd recommend moving up. Once you've got your A2 license, you move up to a motorcycle that, I don't know, between 300 and 400cc is fine, I think. Yes.
Looking at the time, and obviously we want to go through our comments, should we go through the 10 top tips for beginner motorcycle riders?
Well, I want to. It's fine if we're a bit over today. It's okay.
Okay.
But let's. So okay. So right. So A2. All right. So A2 motorcycles, anything up to 45 horsepower. All right. So you can look to buy a motorcycle then, and then it's pretty much plain sailing from then on. Now I don't know this, and I can't remember whether or not you have to do another test to do your full license after that.
I don't know.
I can't remember. Because with me, when I did my A2, I did my A2 when I was 17, and then after that, it was I just had to wait for 2 years. Effectively, I waited for 2 years, and then by the time I was 19. I got a new license come through the door, and it was an A license. I didn't have to do any more tests, didn't have to do anything. I did it all when I was 17, just waited 2 years, and then I had a license that allowed me to ride any size bike. Any size bike. From memory, that's what it was when, yeah, and this is blooming, I don't know, 2007, 2008. I think it was 2007. Yeah, so it was a bloody long time ago now, and so it's gotten a lot more complicated after that. But you may or may not have to do another test to then move on to your full motorcycle license, which is known as an A license. Okay. But that's getting a bit ahead of the game here. All right. Because this is focusing mainly on those of you that are looking to start anyway. So, okay. Shall we go through the chat quickly and then we'll move on to that? Yeah?
Yeah, sure.
Okie dokie. All right. Let's have a look here. Fidelity, yeah, CBT, yeah. Yeah, so very, very first thing, unfortunately, that's the first hurdle you have to get through is doing a CBT. The biggest issue is that, of course, you want to be able to ride motorcycles, so you think, well, I'll do my CBT on a motorcycle. That's the biggest trap that a lot of people fall into, is they don't know how to ride a motorcycle, and instructors aren't good enough to teach them how to do it. So it just ends up being an absolute nightmare.
My second instructor was really good.
But you already knew how to ride by then.
But he also was training to be a full license instructor as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was like getting a bit stressed, and I kept apologising. He was like, I've got to be here all day. If it takes all day, it takes all day. And it was really it was good because he wasn't rushing me, which was nice.
Yeah, Steve, he says, I bought a bike a year after CBT. That's really interesting. Because, yeah, a year. I mean, I suppose, yeah, I don't know. I mean, the thing is, again, a lot of this will depend on you as a person and how comfortable you are with being on machines. I mean, if you have a prior understanding of how a motorcycle is supposed to work, then you might not have such an issue learning to ride a motorcycle on your CBT. But honestly, there are people out there that don't have no idea. They have no idea whatsoever. And they're relying on the instructors to teach them how to
do everything,
ride a motorcycle. And of course, the CBT instructor isn't, even though that's what they're supposed to do, they don't teach you everything you need to know. A lot of it you learn as you go. Sounds crazy, but yeah, that's the way it is these days. Mark Jordan, luckily for me, CBT didn't exist when I started riding motorcycles back in 1985. That's exactly what your dad did, didn't it?
My dad says that when he started riding bikes, he just had to turn up and they gave him a license.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
And that was it. And then he actually taught motorcycles riding for a little bit.
Yeah.
But again, it wasn't CBT.
Same with my auntie. I mean, I think I mentioned this a little while ago on the live show, but I learned that my auntie has a full motorcycle license. I'm like, what? But you don't ride? I've never ever seen her ride a motorcycle in my life. And no, it's again because it was back in the day when you just showed up and they gave you a license.
Yeah.
Practically. But yeah. Fidelity, I was born in 85. Yeah.
I don't think I was even a thought in 1985.
Yeah.
If I'm honest.
Oh, Mark, yeah, does anyone remember the Kickstart back in the 1980s? Yeah. Yeah, my first motorcycle was a Kickstarter. It did have an electric start as well, but it was a real drain on the battery, so I never relied on it.
No, I think it's a show they're talking about. It's a British game show called Kickstart.
Oh, no way. Blimey, well, there you go. I have no idea then.
A British motorcycle trials game show that aired on BBC One from the 6th of August to the 17th
I'm
of
to
August.
catch that, you know.
Well, ran from 1979 to 1992.
Yeah.
4x3, the picture format. Amazing.
See, Steve, that's so crazy. He says, my CBT instructor advised against learning on a scooter.
Oh.
Unless your CBT instructor has got a lot of patience and is totally happy with you on a motorcycle, because I'm sorry, in the 3 hours that they have to teach you how to ride, you are not going to learn hardly anything on a motorcycle.
3 hours?
Well, you have 3 hours on the forecourt, and then you have an extra, I don't know how much time on the street.
So when I did my one recently, he said he had to keep us for 6 hours. That was it. That was
for the whole thing.
The whole thing. So he said we could spend as much time on the forecourt as we wanted, but then we had to be out of the forecourt for at least an hour.
Yeah.
But it was a minimum. He said if we're here longer, we're here longer. He says a flat rate that you've paid, and I'm not going to start charging you after. But then my instructor was really good. So, and this is the second one I had. The first one was absolutely useless.
I don't know. It's really difficult. I mean, Steve, definitely let me know why your CBT instructor said that, if he gave you a reason, because you're not going to learn everything you need to learn on a motorcycle in 6 hours, or however many hours in a day, a whole week even. You know, you're going to really struggle learning everything you need to know in a week. So, you know, that's why I kind of recommended that instead, is because you give yourself that time to learn. You know, you're not learning everything in a day's time. You know, you have that opportunity to progressively learn. There's no pressure to gain that experience and what have you. But yeah, definitely let me know. Yeah, Mr. Tricker, yeah, throttle on the right hand side or on the left. Too hard for me. Oh, Mr. Tricker. Anyway, ZX14 is the worst bike ever made. Oh, that's a controversial statement right there.
Come to fight.
Gregor, good to see you, mate. How you doing? If it's Yamaha, just walk away. Really? Oh my God, I'm surprised. Seriously, I thought that Yamaha had a bit more of a reputation than that. It's crazy though, because I mean, for me, when it comes to just like, I don't know, just reliability and stuff in general, all four Japanese brands are pretty damn good. I mean, there are going to be exceptions to that. Like, you know, there are some people that have had bad experiences with certain Kawasaki bikes, and that's it. After that, they don't buy Kawasaki ever again. Then you've got people like me who have bought 3 Kawasaki motorcycles and have had no problems with any of them whatsoever, and just basic maintenance is needed. So you are going to get those bikes that are just not good. And that can come from any brand. It's like you can get a Chinese bike as well that can run you 100 years. But It's very unlikely.
Yeah.
You know, I'm just saying. But yeah, it is funny how you can just I know that people get it in their heads about certain brands. I mean, I have it about BMW. Personally, I wouldn't buy a BMW, but I'll have to give them a go, and we'll see. But yeah, Gentleman Rider, good to see you, mate. How you doing? Yeah, Steve, don't make the mistake of stopping and leaning the bike over, forgetting to put the kickstand down. That's something we didn't mention. Thank you. Yeah. So, because you can see it. I think that actually happened when I was learning. I think when I was doing my full motorcycle license. I think someone did that. They dropped the bike because they didn't have a kickstand down. So it might sound really stupid, but yeah, people do that.
People think, right, I'm ready to get off now.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah. So
you
very, very good point.
You think of your kickstand like your handbrake.
Yeah, I suppose that's a good way to reference it. Yeah. Yeah, think of your kickstand as your handbrake. Yeah, I like that. I think that's quite good. Cracker, just get the bus, not National Express. Blimey. I don't know what you're saying, mate. I'm sorry. Don't pay for coffees at Motorway Express.
Motorway service.
No, motorway service. Sorry, mate. I don't know. Sorry, mate. You have to expand on that a little bit. Oh, Mark Jordan, how much do CBTs cost nowadays?
So my most recent one cost £180.
Was that with bike rental? Did that include?
No. Yes, that one did include.
That included.
Well, actually, no. I've got it up now.
Because does it? I don't know if CBTs are just a flat rate and you have to pay the same amount anyway, whether you have your bike or not.
So it includes the bike and any equipment that you might need, so like the helmets and stuff like that, and the intercoms.
So if you have a motorcycle already or a scooter, and you decide to use that, do you get a discount?
No, it's a flat rate.
Okay.
Which is why we ended up using their bike instead of mine.
Very, very interesting.
What happened though was when I was there on my second one, the guy said that he'd had to have the steering column, the handlebars, replaced.
Handlebars adjusted, yeah.
Replaced.
Replaced.
Because someone went into so it's on it was next to a rugby field, so you have those like metal things. He said
barriers.
Yeah, the barriers. He went to the barrier and he said he just bent it. So he said, unfortunately, that person hasn't been back yet to complete their CBT.
Yeah.
They put them off, unfortunately.
See, this is. Again, this is why I'm not really for people learning to ride a motorcycle on their CBT, because it's too much to learn. I don't know. Depends on the person, I suppose. But yeah, because you know what I mean. People they get the idea in their head that they want to learn how to ride a motorcycle, so the first thing they think is, right, I need to learn how to ride a motorcycle on my CBT. But you don't need to. If you learn on a scooter and you can learn in your own time how to ride a motorcycle, then a lot of the times that can be the easiest way to do it, just because you get your confidence up and everything. And I don't know, it's difficult as well, because when I don't know about you guys and where you learn your CBTs, but us around here, they were all tiny spaces, teeny tiny spaces. Like the parking areas were pub car parks. I mean, well, yours was on a rugby car park, teeny tiny areas. I mean,
actually, that one wasn't too bad.
Well,
it was shut off and just
and still someone crashed into a barrier.
Yeah.
So clearly not big enough. You know, it's hard because you're totally reliant on the instructor to actually teach you how to do things properly. And the thing I've found in my experience is that instructors, they think you know it all already. They make that mistake far too often, where they expect people to know certain things and people don't. It's like, I think I've said this before, and this might sound really stupid, but when I did my CBT, they described balancing the motorcycle is like balancing a push bike. And I'm sorry, I'd never heard a bicycle called a push bike before. So I didn't know what it was. I had no idea what a push bike was. And it's just little things like that, you know, I mean, it might sound really, really stupid. And to be fair, it is. Because after I realised it was a push bike, I was like, oh, okay, right, I understand what you're saying now. But I didn't, at the time, I had no idea. No idea what they meant, what a push bike was. I've never heard of a bicycle being referred to as a push bike. You know, I was like, what the hell is a push bike? What is a bike that you physically push? Like, no. But Yeah, you have to. Instructors, they have to kind of change their attitude a lot of the time, and they have to be really, really patient, and they have to be understanding as well. Because again, I kind of had the impression that you couldn't ask a stupid question when I was doing mine.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you couldn't ask a stupid question because I don't know. Because it's like you expected to know it. I'm here to learn. You know, how do you expect me to know this stuff when I'm here to learn it? And a lot of instructors, they don't get that. To be fair, when it comes to your full motorcycle license, instructors, they totally switch it on then. But for CBTs, man, it's just it's like a factory. They just want people in and out.
My first instructor was like that. My second one wasn't.
Yeah, so again,
he was really good.
Depends on the instructor, I suppose.
Actually, can't rave about them enough because he was really, really good.
Yeah.
So.
Rain Carew, how you doing, mate? Good to see you. Mr. Goblin, did you try to adjust the gear level to the upper position as I recommended, using the possibility answer during your stream? No, I haven't. I haven't tried it. No, I haven't tried that yet. But yeah, that's thank you for reminding me. That's something that I could look at for sure. But yeah, because yeah, I don't know. I haven't thought about it, to be honest. I haven't thought about it. But yeah, I'll let you know because that's something as well that we need to catch up on. Is some comments as well. We've left that for a little while now, so yeah, we'll need to catch up on comments as well. So yeah, Dragonback 75. Good to see you, mate. How you doing? Let's have a look here. Steve, my instructor said learning on a gear bike will be really great to keep you mentally alert. He gave me a ride on a PCX scooter, and after 5 minutes, I was bored. Yeah, that's what I was saying. It really does depend on the person, because if you have got a person that can learn a lot of things at once, then running a motorcycle isn't going to be a big deal. But then you get someone like me, who's a dummy, and doesn't know their right from left, isn't left-footed or right-footed, and you just got to keep things really simple for them. So it depends on you. If you feel confident enough to do your CBT on a motorcycle to begin with, then go for it. I suppose there's nothing wrong with, whilst you're there, being like, no, I'm not feeling confident on the motorcycle, can I have a scooter instead? I suppose you could. There's always that option as well. Whilst you're there in the middle doing your CBT, don't be afraid to ask the instructor if you can do this on a scooter instead. I'm sure they wouldn't mind, because it doesn't matter. You still get the certificate at the end of the day. So yeah. Oh, that's a good point actually. Yeah, Steve, my instructor said the geared bike will benefit my autism. Yeah, I suppose it could, because it keeps your mind off things, doesn't it? Yeah, that's really interesting. I mean, we've spoken about this before, where people who with Tourette's as well, there have been certain people that the only time when they feel like they have total control of their tics is when they're riding a motorcycle, because they're fully focused on what they're doing, and it's when their mind starts to wander a little bit, and then all of a sudden the tics start coming back. So yeah, that's interesting. Maybe your instructor made a good call there, mate. If it's specifically for you and your use case, then yeah, I think that's probably the better thing to do. John Talman, good to see you, mate. Younger Oldie, good to see you. How you guys doing? Let's see here. Oh, okay. I've just seen a little comment down there, which we'll get to in a minute. Yeah, that's interesting. Now, John Talman, worst bike I ever owned was a Laverda 668 Diamante. I imagine I'm pronouncing that right. But yeah, after 2 days, clutch went, fixed it, crankcase cracked. 5 hours, took the engine out, TIG welded the engine back in, then sold it, man.
Don't blame you. Sounds like a nightmare.
Yeah, some days, some bikes you just get that. It's just awful. Yeah. Yeah, younger oldie, been watching with interest as a volunteer motorcycle instructor. Yes, you have to take another test to go from A2 to A license. Wow. Can you imagine? Because you have to pay about 700 quid to do your A2. You have to pay another 700 quid to do your A license. Oh, that is a kick in the bollocks, man.
At that age where you might not have the...
That's such an investment.
Yeah.
Such an investment. But yeah, thanks for letting us know about that. That's crazy. Mark Jordan, I've often wondered if you stall your motorcycle on a test, it's an instant fail. For us, it was. Yeah, instant fail straight away. And as well, that's stupid little things as well, because you've got your module 1, where you're in this enclosed area and you've got to do certain maneuvers inside this area, and it's like there's a point where you have to go around a sweeping bend doing 40 miles an hour. You have to go through some speed guns doing 40 miles an hour, and then when the examiner puts their hand up, you have to do an emergency stop. But you are not allowed to lock up the rear brake, or at least you weren't back in the day. You weren't allowed to lock up the rear brake. If you did, again, that was an instant fail. I'm thinking, but what? You know? I mean, in some instances, that's exactly what happens. When you're trying to emergency brake a motorcycle, you are going to get a rear wheel lockup every once in a while.
That's really interesting, because that's something that my instructor actually did with us, was we had to get to a certain speed, and then he put his hand and we had to put the brake on. And he said they don't often teach you that in the CBT, but it's important that you know how to do it.
Yeah. See, again, that's a CBT instructor saying that they don't often teach very vital things, learning how to emergency brake. But yeah, it was just little things like that anyway. Yeah, they picked up on a lot of stuff that were instant fails for sure. And if anything, it's going to be even stricter today. I can only imagine. Yeah. Young or oldie, there's a proposal to get rid of the A2 test, meaning that you take A1, then ride for a period of time and just do a short course at a training school to get your A license. See, for me, that sounds a lot more simpler. Just so much more straightforward.
Well.
And it's just expecting people to pay for 2 sets of licenses, 2 sets of exams, even though they are the exact same thing. Between doing your A2 and your full A license, it's the same. And you have to do your... you're trying to tell me that you've got to do your theory test again as well? Because imagine that. You do your theory test when you're 18. In preparation, do your A2 when you're 19. And then you intend to go for your full A license when you're 21. But your theory test expires by the time you're 20. So you have to redo it again. Honestly, if that is the case... Oh, man. That makes me so angry. So angry. That's the reason why we're seeing so many younger riders or younger people just not bother getting involved, because it's just outrageous. Absolutely outrageous. But yeah, hopefully they can rework it into something that is a lot simpler. Definitely, yeah. John Talman, I paid £50 to do a CBT Part 1 on Sunday morning. In the afternoon, started Part 2 training for three afternoons and passed the test. I was on a 1993 Suzuki RG125 Gamma. Fair play. That's interesting though. How the way you did it was on different different parts of the day. Yeah. Was that on 2 different days, or was that on the same day? So Sunday morning and in the afternoon started two training for 3 afternoons. Yeah, so it was on different days.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Dragonback 75. My son has autism. Took a few attempts but passed the CBT now. He has a 125 Regal Raptor. Fair play. That's always good. Yeah. That's always good to hear, mate. Well done. Yeah, Dragonback 75 for a full A license is best if you do it after you're 24. I don't know if I agree with that. I mean, I suppose it depends on who you are as a person and how sensible you are. Yeah. Because if you're over 21, you can go straight for a full license, can't you, from a CBT?
I think so.
It's only if you're under 21 is when you have to go through the whole ring roll of doing the A2, then the A license. But if you're over 21,
and you've
I
got
think
like the whole direct access thing as well, haven't you?
Well, no, that's what most people do is direct access. Yeah. So if those of you who don't know, direct access is just simply it's over a number of weekends before your actual test. So it could be 2 or 3 weekends where you do your practice on your road riding, your practice on the Module 1 as well, and then on the 3rd weekend or the 4th weekend, however long you decide to train for.
Your module on this particular place, your Module 1 test is £15.50, your Module 2 test is £75.
Yeah.
Plus the test centre hire. Or £31.
Oh well, it's not the cost of the test. It's actually the cost of the training.
Yeah.
Because you're paying between. I think if I'm.
The direct access training is £230 a day.
Yeah.
They recommend 3 to 4 days.
So yeah, it is about £700 to £1,000. Yeah, madness. But yeah, that's. I don't think there's any other way you can do it. I think it's all
Maybe
just
not,
direct
no.
access. But
Yeah.
anyway, yeah. Yeah, Steve, that's interesting talking about. There's really something with mental disability and riding bikes that really clicks. Yeah, we did a whole live show on mental health benefits of riding motorcycles, and
It's vast, isn't it?
it's mad. It's absolutely mad. The way how it can just change your mental state. Even things like depression and things like that can really help if you're riding a motorcycle.
I helped by riding a motorcycle.
Yeah, it's like I think even it's a video recently. I think it was yesterday's video. I think where I said that there's nothing better when you've had a really stressful day at work, and you have a motorcycle to take you home at the end of the day, and your stresses just melt away from riding home. So yeah, there you go. Motorcycles are the answer. All right, so wifey, let's quickly do your thing then, and then let's see what I think. So the wifey's got a list of 10 tips, is it?
For beginner motorcycles. So
10 tips for beginner motorcycle riders,
yes.
and we'll see if I agree with that or not.
Right. Tip 1: stay calm.
Is that it?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
That's quite an obvious one, right?
It's quite a vague one, to be honest.
It says
because you don't want to panic when you're on a motorcycle, but the panic doesn't set in when you're on the bike. The panic sets in when you're moving.
They're talking about being angry or riding in fear.
I disagree with that, because fear is what makes you ride better. I think fear in a lot of these instances, makes you makes you better at whatever it is you're doing,
I'm going to put 2 and 3 into one because they kind of relate to each other.
Okay.
So,
by the way, this is an article that you could probably find online as well yourselves. If you just Google motorcycle tips for beginners, these are probably the kinds of things that you will see.
There's so many of these articles.
Let's see if there's, I don't know, any debunking that needs to happen.
Okay. So squeeze the petrol tank with your knees and add tank grips.
No need for the tank grips.
Apparently it's saying it helps you achieve squeezing the petrol tank by having tank grips.
No, you don't need those. No, I agree with squeezing the petrol tank to some extent. Again, it kind of depends on how you're riding, because if you're riding... when you're sitting on a motorcycle, a lot of the time when you're going around bends, if you're going around them quickly, the best way to do it is to actually move your bum off the seat a little bit. So you're not in the same place. I mean, this really does depend on how fast you're going around a bend, for example. But I mean, you want to be able to hold on to the tank with the leg that is facing away from the bend. Yeah. So say for example, if you're going into a right-hand bend, you want to make sure that you're holding on to the tank with your left leg. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but no, you don't need grips underneath the tank. You definitely don't need them.
Drag your rear brake for slow maneuvers.
Yeah, that's quite an advanced thing, actually. Because that's a skill that takes a lot of time, and I honestly, I'm not able to use the rear brake as much as I should be able to. I've seen riders where they're able to almost stand the bike upright, almost at a standstill, and being able to do stupid, really tight maneuvers just from using the rear brake, and I'm not able to do that. So that's something that is valid, but it takes a long time to learn. That's not something that you just learn overnight. You learn, so with slow maneuvers, learn mainly with the balance of the bike. Yeah, so get used to the balance of the bike. Don't rely on the brake to balance you, okay? Rely on the clutch and rely on your own balancing. But anyway.
Remember, motorcycles are unforgiving. So this one just talks about driving within your limits, making good choices, and not choosing a bike above your experience level.
Okay, I agree with all those points. What was the first one? Riding within your means.
Within your limits, yeah.
Yeah,
Make
I mean
good choice on the road.
That's actually something that you should be doing forever. is riding within your means. And unless you are going to a racetrack where you are deliberately trying to push your limits, then no, you always ride well within your limits just on normal roads, on everyday riding. What was the second point? There's 3 points that you made. What was the third one? The second one, rather?
Make good choices on the road.
That's hard, because how do you know what a good choice is? Yeah, and it's quite vague. Do you think? Effectively, a good choice, whenever you're riding a motorcycle, a good choice is one that keeps you safe, whatever that might be. So, and it really does depend on the scenario that you're in, but these are things that you learn over time. Again, it's not something that you just know, like when you pull off on a roundabout, when's the right time to do it? Well, again, that kind of depends on the situation. If you've got lots of traffic, then you have to really pick your time. But at the same time, and I know that this is something that they will mark you down on if you're doing your full motorcycle test here in the UK, but if you have to take a little bit of extra time joining a roundabout because it's busy, then it's probably safer to do so. So just take a little bit of extra time, even though they might give you a minor for that on your test. All right. So yeah, it's just something to think about. But you'll learn it over time. You just got to keep at it, and you'll learn when decisions are right and when they're wrong. And as long as you are a bit self-reflective as well, if you think back, if you went out on a ride and you feel like you made a mistake, or you feel like something happened, you're involved in a close call or something, then be a bit reflective and think, well, how could I have done that differently? And then you'll learn that way. What's the next one?
Improve throttle control.
No, what was the third point?
Oh, get a bike that suits your experience.
No, yeah,
I
think that's fairly obvious, but. Yeah. I say that's obvious, but there are lots of people in countries where there is no restrictions on riding motorcycles, where people will go they'll learn on a 1 litre, they'll learn on a 1000cc bike with 200 horsepower or something ridiculous, and that's something that I think a lot of us motorcycle journalists cannot ever say enough, is don't do it. Yeah, I mean, take your time with it. Experience different bikes at different levels, and look forward to the day when, a few years down the line, when you're ready to actually get on a motorcycle like that. Don't just do it straight away, because again, that could be a big mistake. Again, it really does depend on who you are as a person, because there are some people out there that can just get on a 1000 without any prior experience of riding a motorcycle, and they'll be fine. But it's a risk that you don't need to take. Yeah, because it just leaves a lot of room for error, or not a lot of room for error. Whereas the smaller bikes, they do leave a lot of room for error. So yeah, it's just one of those things to think about. Right, sorry. The next one was throttle control.
Yeah.
What was the exact quote or the exact statement?
It says improve throttle control. Good throttle control determines how smooth your ride is, how well your suspension works, and how well your motorcycle will take corners.
Yeah, I suppose. Throttle control is one of those things that is more of a worry on the bigger bikes, on bigger motorcycles where you pull the throttle back 5% and you're already doing 100 mile an hour before you even know it. So, yeah. It's when you start moving up the bikes, that's when I think it becomes more of an issue, learning the throttle control. So yes, definitely focus on learning the throttle control, but be more mindful of it when you get a bigger motorcycle, or even a different motorcycle, because even if a motorcycle has the same displacement, so say you have, I don't know, 2 motorcycles, they're both 600cc, one of them might feel totally different to the other. One might be a hell of a lot faster than the other, or at least a lot more torque from the get-go. So yeah, just something to think about. What's the next one?
Accelerate when you change lanes.
Accelerate when you change lanes? Okay. That kind of depends, because roads that are quite busy, well, you're not going to have the opportunity, because if you accelerate, you're in the back of another car. So
that one is a situation-dependent one.
Yeah. What's the justification for that one? There's it's a blurb, isn't there, afterwards that explains the reasoning.
So, as all motorcyclists know, the procedure for changing lanes is indicate, check mirrors, and blind spot, then manoeuvre.
Mm-hmm.
However, an additional safety tip for motorcycle riding is to accelerate slightly as you change lanes, because you don't know how fast the vehicle behind you is going. This gives you a little more leeway.
Yeah, that's tough because again, I mean, if you're looking at a 125, you can't accelerate all that much.
No, you can't.
That's the biggest limitation behind 125s. They don't have any power. So you try accelerating. I mean, imagine if you're doing 40 miles an hour and you try to accelerate as you're changing lanes. I mean, you'd be lucky if you can get to 5 miles an hour at the point where you manage to merge in with the traffic. So yeah, like you were saying, very, very situational. And I think a lot of the time, as long as you give people behind you plenty of time to make them as aware as possible of a maneuver that you're about to take, then I think you'll be all right. The issue comes when you decide to make a maneuver very quickly and no one around you is expecting it. And you see this all the time. Not with motorcyclists necessarily, but you see it a lot with just people in general. If it's a pedestrian on the road or something, they don't even look and they just walk out into the road, things like that. People do the same thing whenever they're changing lanes. They're like right at the junction and all of a sudden they're like, I'm in the wrong lane, and they start maneuvering to try and get in the right lane at the wrong time. And I mean, whilst we're here, we might as well kind of mention it, that if you are in the wrong lane at the wrong time, don't try and quickly change lanes in that particular situation. Follow the road. Yeah, so you stay in your lane, you follow the road until you get to a point where you're able to turn back around. Then turn around and then go the way that you originally meant to go. But never, ever dart between lanes because you're not going the right direction. Okay? Don't panic in that situation. Just follow the road. But again, that's something you see all the time.
Well, people aren't expecting you to suddenly change lanes.
No, exactly.
If you're on a roundabout, go round the roundabout.
That's...
And then come off. Or just come off at the exit you're going towards, turn around and rejoin the roundabout. It's a pain, but it's safer.
It's like I've seen people on motorways where the junction is literally about 10 meters away and they're in the outside lane and they cut across all 3 lanes,
sometimes
within 10 meters just to reach the exit. What was the point? There'll be another exit a few miles down the road. Just follow that and then get off there. Or if you have to turn around, then get off the next junction, turn around and come back the way you came and go
that way. Yeah.
There's no error that you can make in the direction you're going that's going to be like, oh my God, I'm lost. No, you just turn around at a point where it's safe. But follow the road. If you're in the wrong lane, just follow the road. Just don't worry about it. And then pull over whenever you can, whenever it's safe, and turn around whenever you can. Not when don't ever make a maneuver when there's no room to do it. All right? Sorry, yeah, we kind of went off on a bit of a tangent there.
We've only got 3 left, so let's get through these.
Yeah, go for it.
When in doubt, slow down.
Yeah, I mean, that's... Yeah.
I think the last 3. The next one, this one and the next one are quite obvious. I'm just going to go on to the next one, so I don't think that needs much explanation.
Well, it's funny that you say that, actually. I was watching on Donut Media the other day, the video that they're doing a high-low series. So they have like a car where they're both Subaru WRXs and Prezzas. One car gets a load of really high-grade mods. The other car gets very low-grade mods, which is better. And the high car, the car where they spent a load of money on, they were doing some test tracks, and James Pumphrey, which is the main presenter on Donut, he was going around this track. I don't want to give you the whole story because if you want to watch it yourself, it's quite good. This recent high-low series, but he basically takes the car off the track, and he forgets to push in the clutch as he's going off track. And because it's a 4-wheel drive car, if you just push in the clutch, you would have been able to maintain control of the car. Something as really simple as that for an experienced driver, they didn't even think about it. So no, I still think that point is valid. If you're not sure, slow down. Definitely.
I'm not saying it wasn't valid.
Yeah, but it's not so obvious though. You think these certain things are obvious, like, oh, well, I'm going into a power slide, let's push in the clutch. just push in the clutch, slow the car down to try and regain some. But I mean, the biggest issue is that as they came off the track, the car, the engine internally spun backwards because he had the clutch out fully as the car came off the track, and it basically ended up sliding off the track and then ended up going backwards, and it was just that little bit that just ruined the engine.
Gave away the ending.
But anyway, yeah. But it's good. There's loads of parts to it. But yeah. Anyway, what's the next one?
Lean into corners.
I'm going to disagree with this one.
Okay.
You don't have to lean into corners. You see us a lot with the super bikes and the MotoGP. No, you don't have to lean into corners. When you're riding on the road, you don't have to lean into corners. And Fort 9 did a really interesting video about leaning into corners and how actually in a lot of cases leaning the opposite way was actually better than leaning into the corner. So, I think this would apply more to slower bends. But again, let's take the right-hand bend, for example. So you're going right-hand bend. Instead of leaning to the right, lean to the left. And you'll actually be able to make corners a lot sharper if you lean the opposite way. Again, very situational, and in a lot of cases you don't even have to lift off the bike anyway. But I mean, it's like I was saying earlier, when you're holding onto the tank, if you're leaning into the corner and you're doing a really fast bend, then yes, by all means lean into the corner and hold on with the opposite leg to the bend that you're going. But when you're doing, I don't know, sub 50 mile an hour and you're going around a bend, don't be afraid to lean the opposite direction. That works in a lot of cases just as good, if not better, than leaning into the corner. So yeah, what's the next one?
The last one, learn to rev match smoothly.
Okay. Rev matching is not one of those things that beginners need to know. I'm going to say that just right off the top. You don't need to know it, all right? The only thing you need to be able to do is change gears up as you speed up, change gears down as you're slowing down, okay? And in more often than not, when you're coming to a complete stop, you can just, even if you're in 6th gear, 5th gear, whatever the top gear is of your motorcycle, just come to a stop, or as you're coming to the stop, go from 6th all the way to 1st. You don't need to rev match going down one gear, rev match going down the next. You don't have to do that. Beginners, all right, if you are just learning to ride a motorcycle, just know that going up gears means going faster, going down gears means going slower. Bikes can handle going up in the revs if you're not rev matching. Don't worry about it. It's not a big deal. A lot of beginners won't even know what rev matching is.
No.
We have videos about that as well, so definitely go and check that out. We've got a video about the 125 and the Wifey's Ninja 125 rev matching, and we've got one on my old CBR 600RR from back in the day. You don't need to do it. For street riding, you don't need to do it. All right, so it's not. Don't worry about rev matching. Just worry about going up and going down the gears. Don't worry about the throttle when you're going up and down the gears. It's fine. Is that all of them?
That's it.
Okay, awesome. And I know that some of you have asked about the Ninja 125. Of course, we had the little dashboard light. I'm still working on that. We will have a video coming up in the near future with an update on what's going on with it. So yeah, stay tuned for that. But the bike's fine, I think. I don't think there's any problems with it. I did manage to get the reading of the error code, but it's not a big deal. So yeah, I think it's a pretty straightforward fix. Whatever the situation, a straightforward fix. But at the moment, I've got the battery out the bike. I'm charging up the battery, making sure that that's all okay. I'm going to put it back in the bike, and then hopefully that should be it. That should sort it. But yeah. So we'll have a video about that in the near future. I'm still working on it, but yeah. I mean, let's quickly just see what else you guys have said here, just in case I've missed anything. Oh, call on. Hey, how you doing, mate? Good to see you. Oh yeah, it literally says, "Hey Goblins, I would think throttle control would be important too on smaller bikes, if maybe less so. If you don't learn on a 300 or more, you may not be that well prepared for it on bigger bikes." Yeah, Dev, that's what we said, isn't it? That on smaller bikes, it's not such a big issue, but yeah, it's as you progress up the bikes is when you have to start thinking about it more and more. Definitely, yeah. Steve, is the Zontes 350 good for enough power? I don't know that bike, to be honest, so I couldn't tell you off the top of my head. It depends on the kind of bike that you are looking at in terms of what you want out of it. I mean, just look, if it's a 350, it should be fine for power. But don't be afraid to look at something a little bit bigger. You know, if you want to look at a Ninja 400 maybe, or a Z400 from Kawasaki, or an R3 from Yamaha, they're just as good if you want to go Japanese anyway. BMW have got the G310 as well, which is a pretty good bike. Have you found it there, wifey? Have you got it there?
Are you talking about
the specs?
The ZT350 GK or the T?
No, it's the same. They're not the same.
It's loading.
Try find the specs.
That's what I'm looking for.
Okay, that's the frame.
That's it. What are you looking for in particular?
Okay, so it's got on the web page. It's got the power in kilowatts. It's hard to say because I know it's archaic, but you know we all use horsepower to kind of and torque to determine the power of a bike. But I mean, did it say it had 25 kilowatts? Was it, or 30 kilowatts?
I don't know. I didn't look.
I don't know. It might be worth looking in a
There
calculator.
That's a 350R.
Yeah. Okay, so 32 newton meters of torque. That's quite good. That's quite a nice amount of torque for a bike that size.
The GK 350 is 32.
Okay, so 38 horsepower basically. 38 horsepower. Okay, I'd say that's quite good for an A2 motorcycle. I think that's quite a good place to be because you're getting the best kind of both worlds, where you've got power, but it's not going to be overwhelming, and you'll have time to kind of get used to it, so to speak. But yeah, no, that sounds okay power wise. You know, I'm not familiar with the brand, okay, so I can't really comment on that. But just looking at the spec sheet, it seems pretty good. Pretty good. Call on. I also prefer to miss my exit and come back around than risk everyone else's life just for the most convenient exit. Yeah, it's so true. That's so true, man. Yeah, but you see it all the time. Dragonback 75. Do you push steering? This is one of those things that I really, really... I don't know. I pull steering from my... from just thinking about it. Most of the time I'm pulling steering. I'm not pushing. So I suppose... I don't know. Again, I think for regular street riding, I don't think it matters. Just, you know, because you're not pushing or pulling that much to go around a bend when you're doing over 20 miles an hour. So yeah, I think personally I pull on the steering more than push. But yeah, what do you do, wifey? That's the thing, you don't think about it, do you? I don't think about it.
It's like when someone says, how do you spell this? I have to think about how to spell it because when I'm writing it, it's natural.
Yeah.
When someone asks me a question, I don't know.
It's hard to say, mate.
And then you start doubting yourself. Actually, do I do that?
Yeah.
Is that right?
I mean, it's like, you know, you're going around a bend. You know you've got to turn the handlebars to go around a bend. Okay. When it comes to learning how to ride a motorcycle, just don't overthink it. Just move the handlebars in whichever way you like, whether if it's pulling or pushing, and just get around the bend. You know, it's as simple as that. You don't really have to think about it or overthink about it, unless you are looking at racing, when all those minute details are important. They do matter. But no, for regular street riding, I don't think it's. I don't think it matters. But you do what you need to do to get round a bend, I think. But anyway, everybody, I think we're gonna call it a day for today's live show. I hope that it's given some context to those of you that are looking to get involved in riding motorcycles. And again, massive thank you to all of you that put your messages in the chat as well with your suggestions and anything that we missed as well. I mean, Steve, you definitely mentioned a good one about putting down the kickstand, for God's sake. That's something that, again, comes natural to most people, but yeah, that you do get the people that will just forget. So yeah, it's a very, very good point. So thank you for that as well. And yeah, again, thanks for everyone else. Thanks everyone else for what you've said in today's show. But yeah, I mean, wifey, have you got any closing thoughts, closing remarks that you'd like to mention? No.
I think so.
No, well, we got some dinner to have anyway now, so we're going to go ahead and do that so I get hungry. But yeah, thank you ever so much for joining us today. And yeah, like I said, I hope that it's been as concise as possible. And I know it can be a real minefield going through it. But yeah, any comments after the fact, definitely let us know if you have any questions, and we'll do our best to answer them after the fact. But yeah, and I'll try to remember to link the playlist as well that we've got for all of our motorcycle tips and learning to ride and things like that. So yeah, I'll leave that linked for you. Yeah, thank you again ever so much for watching. We've got a video tomorrow as usual, so hopefully I'll see you then. But if not, I hope you have a fantastic weekend, and we'll catch you all next week. So yeah, thank you ever so much again. Take care. Have a good weekend.
Ride safe.
Ride safe. Ride safe. Yes.
So I really struggled with that because